And a good morning, football fans. It is a Football Friday here on Birds 365, leading into what's going to be a pretty damn big weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles on a lot of different levels. And we're going to talk about all those levels today over the next 2 hours here on Birds 365 with Mac and Bill. Bill Johnny Mac going to tag out after the first hour, go over, get some good insight info on the Birds heading into their game against the Eagles prior to. So Bill Colarulo's going to jump in for him in hour number 2. Johnny Mac got some info yesterday. A little bit of a surprise. The Eagles injury report, much like it was the day before, Suopeta goes full practice rather than just limited. But that didn't necessarily mean that Suopeta was going to be playing. I thought it was going to mean that Cam Jurgens was playing. Yesterday, when he got a chance to watch reps, it was someone else at right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, eh?
Yeah, Tyler Steen. It looks like they're going to break the seal on Tyler Steen. All signs point to him being the starting right guard against the Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, it was interesting to say the least. I don't know many people saw that coming. He did get to play 6 snaps, his first offensive snaps in Washington when Sua hurt the hip and went down for a little while, but Sua came back in the game and finished. So there were no indications this was coming until yesterday, and bang, there he is out there working with Lane Johnson on combination blocks, working with Jason Kelsey. This is where they wanted to go. It was just a matter of how quickly they could get there. And obviously they slow played it. And, to me, this opens up interesting thoughts as far as if he plays well, what do you do coming off the bye? Because ultimately, remember, and this is what we talked about when we thought there was going to be a competition during training camp that never unveiled itself, because Tyler was making a pretty big transition from college tackle to moving inside a guard. Ultimately, they want to get to Cam Jurgens at center and Tyler Steen as the right guard. That's the long-term plan. And if you can get him in at right guard and he's playing well, do you just put Cam Jurgens back for now as the backup center and keep him focused on his ultimate job? So a lot of interesting things to unfold, starting with Sunday against the Cowboys. And by the way, that's not an easy test for a rookie player in his first NFL start, because I think a lot of people don't realize when they say Lane Johnson shuts down Micah Parsons. Well, yeah, partially, but the Philadelphia Eagles have shut down Micah Parsons because he moves all over the place. Right. And Dan Quinn will see rookie guard and say, all right, we're going. He rushes from the middle. He rushes all the time inside. So it's going to be tough. And oh, by the way, the Cowboys also have DeMarcus Lawrence. They have, I call him OBO, like Alberto, because I don't want to butcher his name. He is a tremendous interior player. They have a very good defensive front, so it's a tough test.
Johnny Mac, I've never coached a football team a day in my life, but it doesn't mean that I can't have opinions on it. And sometimes they fly in the face of the team you're talking about analyzing or actually doing. Readily admit that I'm surely not any graduate of Stoutland University. Were the 6 snaps that Tyler Steen played that week that good? Because up until the Washington game, there was no question that when Cam Jurgens was cut, at least in my mind, Cam Jurgens coming back, he's going right back to right guard. Suopeta, good job, held down the fort. Way to go. Thank you very much. Cam Jurgens gets his practice window open, and kind of out of nowhere, Steen is not only in the mix, but it's pointing toward him actually starting the game on Sunday. And got to give a nod here. I got a tweet yesterday. I don't even know what time it was, but I'm pretty sure it was before practice even took place, like right after our show ended yesterday, that said Howard Eskin said on WIP he would be shocked if Cam Jurgens played this week. So Howard got himself some inside information. Somebody's leaking down at the Eagles, and Howard got a hold of it and went with it on WIP. And I responded to the tweet. I said, "Well, we're just going to have to wait till Sunday." Would surprise me. So I'm almost floored by this. Now I'm not there. I'm not at practice. How the hell do I know? But the Eagles have not done their business this way previously, putting a guy in without much really work, without much experience. What is it about this week? Do you think Jurgens isn't ready? Was Opeta not as good as maybe we thought he was? What is driving the Eagles to take this chance? Because I'm sorry, I got no problems. They're taking a chance by putting a rookie who hasn't really had many snaps at all in his NFL career into the biggest game of the year so far.
No, I don't think that. Number one, I don't think they made the decision on 6 snaps in Washington. But I do think, it's nice to see him out there as a in live action against 2 very good interior players, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and he held up pretty well in those 6 snaps. But I don't think Jeff Stoutland woke up and said, "Oh, he played 6 snaps. Let's go with him." It's funny. I got the question because not only Birds 365, but I did a bunch of radio, Dallas radio, Mike Gill, typically, Rob Ellis and those guys. For the 17th time I lost it. Should the Eagles run the ball this week? And I just lost. I lost because for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, it's such a, there's such a layered question, but they haven't been effective running the football. And a lot of that has to do, to be honest, with the health of the quarterback, because he's what fuels the Eagles' run game. And I talk about it all the time, manipulating spacing, all that, affecting the defense. When the defense doesn't have to worry about the quarterback pulling the football and coming out the back end, it becomes Earl Campbell, and they don't have Earl Campbell. They can't just turn around and hand the football to their running backs. And as I stated multiple times yesterday, follow the money. Who do they pay? They pay A.J. Brown. They pay Dallas Goedert. They're going to pay Devontae Smith. They don't pay their running backs. They don't have a great running back room. So all of that layered in, they've not been effective running the football. I think they want to get more effective running the football, and they understand the quarterback's not healthy, so they got some issues there as far as that. And I think they want to get where they wanted to get, Tyler Steen's size. And, you do want to sort of run the football at Micah Parsons if you can, because that will mitigate his effect, his quickness, his effectiveness as a pass rusher. So, I think they're not happy with Sua. And when it comes to Cam, understand Howard, works for the team. So he's got a little bit of access the rest of us don't have. Most of us expected Cam Jurgens to play. It is the bye week coming up after this week, so you get an extra 2 weeks if you don't play him. So maybe the Eagles are being cautious. He's out there practicing. He looks fine. But that's why I think, he's very undersized for a guard. We talked about this when him moving from from center to guard as the starter. And again, that training camp battle never unveiled itself. But the Eagles wanted it to. Tyler Steen just wasn't ready. And again, this is where they wanted to get to. Did they get to it? Maybe. But if he plays terribly, obviously you're going to come back off the bye and you're probably going to see Cam Jurgens in there. But if he plays well, I think you might not even see Cam Jurgens back at right guard, because that's not his position. He's the stopgap. But again, those are questions that'll probably be answered on Sunday.
Let me ask you a Dallas Cowboy question. You mentioned that the Eagles would like to run the football, but they may not think they can run the football as effectively if Jalen Hurts isn't part of the running game of RPOs? Is he going to hold on to the ball? And are you going to make a play on a running back? Oops, he doesn't have the ball. I understand all that. The Minnesota Vikings came in here and said, we're not going to let you want to run the ball, you can go ahead and run the ball because we're not going to let you pass it. We're going to play 8 deep. We're going to have extra guys in the box. We're daring you to run the football. And Eagles did. And DeAndre Swift ran it right down the Minnesota Vikings' throat. If you're an opponent this year, and oh, by the way, the Eagles won that game, and they won it relatively handily. The Vikings stayed within a score. They kept scoring after the Eagles would make it more.
Yeah, they were down 20 points and scored a bunch late.
Right. They got a bunch of points to make it look closer than it actually was. But why wouldn't more opponents do that to the Eagles? If they've got the same read that you do here, the Eagles just really aren't running it all that effectively, and Jalen Hurts isn't as big a threat as he usually is. Why wouldn't you just come in and say, all right, we're going to dare you to run the football, Eagles, because we're going to do everything to stop your pass game, which seems to be your first, second, and third option on offense?
Well, they might. Yeah, they might. And that's the point. That's where the Eagles are good. I mean, you mentioned that game, and I cite that game a lot because it was ridiculous to the point of they were daring them to run. You know, you don't see 6-man boxes too much in the NFL, but you saw them a bunch in that game. And Brian Flores is a little bit quirky, as we all know. He does a lot of different things that other people don't do. So I don't think you're going to see it to that degree. But they might say, you know what, we're going to bracket A.J. Brown and his 125 yards a game, and we're going to bracket Devontae Smith. You can't bracket all three when you throw Dallas Goedert, and that's what makes the Eagles so good. And then the Eagles will toggle. And that's what I say with the running game every week. But people ask him, it's not that they won't run. If you dare them to run, like Minnesota, they'll run. Shane Steichen did it. All right. Green Bay did it one year. And Shane was like, you're going to keep doing that? All right. I'll run. That's what makes the Eagles good. But I do think you have to realize, and all things in life, and I said this, follow the money. How many times you hear that? Follow the money. Who do they pay? Who are the stars on this team? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts. That's what this foundation is built on. And that's their best players, by the way. Now, the Eagles are I always say, they're not a run first team. They're not a pass first team. They're a Jalen Hurts first team. He's banged up now. So they're taking advantage of his passing skills. But then the second part is Dallas is like 18th in the NFL in run defense. So everybody says. And then you have the Micah factor. You got to run at him. The difference, and I looked it up, the difference between 18th and being top 10 is 10 yards, Jody.
Per game.
108 yards, 98 yards. It's not like they're giving up 150. That Minnesota team that gave up 270, they're like 11th in rushing defense. They're ahead of Dallas. They give up 102, 103 yards a game. The minuscule difference between difference between 10 and 20 is nominal. So people get focused. Oh, they're 18th. Who cares? If the Cowboys give them looks where they can run the ball, in other words, the math equation, they'll run the ball. If they don't, they're going to throw the ball.
All right, so let me ask you this. How many plays per game do you think Jalen Hurts options out of? Because one thing I think the Eagles have done a really nice job at this year is, and I'm giving credit to Brian Johnson here, is judging what the defense is in, even pre-snap, not when they come to the line of scrimmage, when you're sending the play in prior to winning the guessing game on what the defense is going to look like right before the quarterback snaps the ball. Well, sometimes they do a good job of hiding that, not revealing it ahead of time, and a quarterback makes a judgment call and opts into something else at the line of scrimmage. How many plays a game do you think Jalen changes before the ball is snapped, from the time they come out of the huddle to the
Well,
ball.
I think there's a misconception of sort of old school audibles. He doesn't do that a lot, but those don't exist a lot in the modern NFL. The modern NFL, usually a play call has two parts built into it, run and pass. And you hear kill, kill, kill. Carson Wentz used to be very very loud with that. You can do it in a bunch of different ways, but he would actually say kill, kill, kill. And what he was doing is killing from pass to run or run to pass. So in other words, you have um, a main part of the play, which might be the pass, and then you kill it to the run, or the main part of the play may be a run, and they say, oh, they got 6 men in the box, and you kill it the other way.
Right.
So most of it, and that's what the difference between the old school quarterbacks who used to run the game at the line of scrimmage and audible and change things. Now it's more of, and I always say they don't teach plays anymore. They teach concepts. So you're looking for the Mike linebacker and the free safety. Mike linebacker's here, do this. Free safety's here, do this. That's sort of how they teach the modern game. And for a couple reasons. One, that's what they do at college. So people found out that they don't have enough time. We talk about all the time with the CBA and the limited practice times. In the old days, you had the quarterback, season ended. He was in the building the next day, working constantly throughout the off season. You don't get to do that anymore. So you have more limited time. So they've simplified things. And they teach concepts, really, not plays. Now, not 100% of the time. There are, sometimes you want to roll something out. But the old school audible, not a ton. That doesn't happen much anymore.
All right, but you did a great job of explaining it there. But if he's killing a play and making the decision between a run and a pass, for the purpose of my question, that would be considered an audible. How many times did the Eagles actually change the play from the time they go into the huddle until the ball is snapped? If it's changed differently, and it's not changed as drastically, that it's more simplistic, I get that. I understand that. Do you think the Eagles change a lot, or do you think they just run what they run?
Probably 10 times a game, I would say.
Out of what's average snaps? 60 something?
60 to 70.
It's a 1 out of every 5 or 6 plays. Okay. Because I think you have to be able to do that. A good defense, and I think Dan Quinn runs a very good defense, is going to be able to catch you off guard at least a percentage of the time every single game. And
yeah, it's like but I always remember my last math class, because I was not a math guy in school, and I had one math class I had to do as in college, and as your basic courses you got to get through. And I remember the final day, and I was so thrilled. And I'm like, all right, I never have to deal with this nonsense again. And sports became a big math equation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and that's what it is. And that's what football is. The box. Oh, it's basically one player. It's either the Mike linebacker or the free safety. What's he doing? And that's how you define what you're doing on offense, as far as and basketball, 3-point shot. Why do they have the 3-point shot? Because, hey, if you make 5 of 10 from 3 or 4 of 10, that's 12 points. So what do you got to do from 2? Well, you got to shoot to get 12 points. You got to shoot 60%.
Right.
That ain't so. The math tells you keep chucking up those threes. Launch angle. Why do people hit 180 in baseball? Because they think you can't get 3 straight singles. The math says you're more likely to hit a 3-run home run or a big home run, big hit, than keep playing station to station baseball. All the sports, and by the way, it sucks. And I don't know, I'm not a hockey guy. I'm sure it's the same way in hockey. It sucks, but that's the way it is in all of sports, including football.
It's become analytically driven in every single sport. You're right about that. All right, speaking of math, we're going to crunch the numbers with our bud, Paul Domowitch, next. His stat pack on JAKIB Sports is a must-read every single week before the Eagles play. He's got some interesting angles, math, call it what you want, analytical research for our buddy Paul Domowitch. He's jumping on board with us next here on Birds 365.